Sometimes it takes simple kindness to leave a lasting effect on people who were a recipient of that kindness. What happens when you lose contact with a person and you are desperately trying to say thank you for them being there to help you through a dark time in your life? How far would you go to locate that person? We are about to hear one such case that dates back to the weaning days of World War II. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Welcome to another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. In this installment, we'll be hearing about the case of Philip Pelletier. This case first aired on the December 21st, 1988 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I cannot wait to delve into this case. This case actually is a very touching case, and I will go on record before the video really starts and give a little bit of a spoiler. This case does have a happy ending. Case information. His name is Philip Pelletier, known aliases. His date of birth was October 31st, 1925. So this guy is 99 years old. He is almost a century old, ladies and gentlemen. When Philip met the Dentis, he was 20 years old. His current age is 99. The location that this case took place was Linz in Austria. The case classification is lost loves. He was originally missing since 1946. That's the rough estimate I could figure out. If you would like to see this case first aired is on the season 1 episode 12 upload of Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube, and the original air date of this case was December 21st, 1988. We are going to get into the case reading right after these commercials from the 1980s.
A drink's delightful, the second time. Hi. Do you remember the first time you tried kissing? Ooh. But now. And when you first tried Coke, I bet you said, not for me. But hey, let's not let first impressions sweat, and let's try Coke again, shall we? Because once you've acquired that new wave taste, you're going to want to try it again, and again. A Coke's delightful, the second. Catchy, isn't it? Catch the wave. Coke. Rush.
Hey everybody, welcome back. If you are new to this series, I hope that you are going to stay here and enjoy your visit. Basically, I go to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki and I will read to you guys the case that we are about to learn about. And sometimes it's a long case, and then there's been times that I'll read a case and it is actually a pretty quick case. This is actually kind of in that middle ground, I guess you could really say. So I'm anticipating this, taking possibly 30 to 45 minutes. It could be longer, it could be shorter. And every now and then I'll give you my thoughts about what I've read and everything. But let's get to it, shall we? So let's do this. There we go. Let's actually zoom in a little bit. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, Philip Pelletier. Real name, Philip. Last name was unknown at the time of broadcast. The case is Lost Friends. However, even though they say it's Lost Friend, it's actually Lost Loves. Location was Linz in Austria. The date was December 1945. Here you have a picture of Philip. This was in 1945. We have a picture of Carl Denti. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce his name. And his daughter, Brigitte Larmain. And then finally we have the picture of the three of them after they were reunited. Okay, so let's close that out. Details. During Christmas 1945, a Hungarian family who had escaped from the ravages of World War II met an American GI named Philip. They were living a hand-to-mouth existence in an abandoned boxcar in rural Austria. the way we are today as a society, we would not be able to live like this. People would be too they're too people are too entitled, in my opinion. If they were forced to live in a boxcar, they would not be able to survive. Let's see here. Philip offered them friendship when they had few friends, food when they were often when there was often hunger, and faith when despair seemed insurmountable. With his help, they survived their ordeal. They now live in the United States. They want to reunite with Philip so they can thank him for a Christmas that changed their lives. Let me take a quick drink here. I'm going to be doing this a lot when I'm reading because my throat gets dry. In May 1945, as Hitler's Third Reich crumbled, refugees from Eastern Europe choked the highways and rural roads. Some were escaping the Nazis. Others the vengeful Russian army. Charles Karl Dentai, well, I'll just say Dentai, then 27, and his family fled from Budapest, Hungary, one step away from the guns of the Red Army. He recalled that the Russians were just a few miles behind them. So he had only one thing. So he had only thing in. So he had only thing in mind. That's the one thing about these wiki articles that people write out. Sometimes the punctuation and grammar is not exactly the best. I think it should be. So the one thing he had, so he had only one thing in mind. I think it should be only one thing in mind. Anyway, getting his family out of there. It was a very strange feeling. Let me just mark it right here so you guys know I am. It was a very strange feeling for them to leave their native country. But they, along with thousands of other families, had no choice but to leave everything and run away. After their perilous journey, the Dentais and other refugees found temporary sanctuary in Austria, in a town occupied by the Americans. As the fall turned to an extremely cold winter, the Dentais were forced to live in a boxcar. Despite their hardship, Carl and his wife, Teresia, managed to survive and provide a shelter for their 5-year-old daughter, Brigitte. As winter approached, let me just scroll it up. As winter approached, they had a tough time getting food. They also had almost no clothing or other place to go. Carl remembered, however, that his family never complained despite their struggles. Well, these people were from a different time. They were probably used to having very little already. So when you don't have much, and then you take away whatever's left, it seems like they are able to kind of that they are able to adapt a lot easier. You take somebody who has a lot of stuff, and you basically say, okay, now you're homeless. Now you're going to live in a boxcar. You do not have much clothing or food. That will be a real test. You will see what kind of person that they are. They can either thrive or they can crack. A few days after Christmas, a soldier named Philip met Brigitte at her American-run school. He went to meet Carl and Teresia. Later that day, somehow managing to surmount the language barrier, he asked if Brigitte could come as a guest to a Christmas party given for the refugee children by the American occupation force. Carl and Teresia eagerly said yes. When Carl was able to scavenge some material, Teresia made a party outfit for Brigitte. He was very excited for her to go to the party, as she had never been to one before. Along with having little food, she also had not had candy or sugar in almost a year. Although decades have passed since that night, Brigitte remembers it like it was yesterday. Philip came to pick her up in an army jeep. She remembered how she remembered that he looked very handsome, like Prince Charming. He had a shiny US button on his lapel, along with making her feel safe and happy. He made her feel very special. She felt like a big girl for that night. Uh, let's see. When they arrived at the party, she felt like a princess. It was as if someone had opened a magic door for her into another world. Let's see here. There were lights, music, and a very happy atmosphere. The food was very fancy. She had never had many of the dishes before. She felt like she was in a dream, which she never wanted to end. Can you imagine what that'd be like being a child of, I think, what they say, like 5, 6 years old? You don't have that much already because of the war going on. And then you're basically kind of given this one night, to experience a life that you really haven't been able to have. I, that girl must have been. She must have been very excited, I guess you could say. Philip brought a big change into the Dente's life. It gave them back a lot of confidence in the human race. When Philip brought Brigitte back to the party, or front of the party, he and the Dentes celebrated the night holiday together. He brought them presents and drinks. It was a night that Carl would never forget. Philip and the Dentes discovered that even though they did not share a language, they shared a friendship. Even though they had a difficult time communicating, they shared a lot of laughter and had a great time together. Okay, here, let's mark this just to remember where I am. You know what this reminds me of? I can't recall the name, the case name. You if you're watching this, you may remember it. There was I think it could have been another lost loves case, or missing persons case. It revolved around World War II. Also, a mother and her son were living in a cabin out in the woods, and there was a knock at the door. And this was also during I think I said it was during World War II. The mother answered the door, if I remember correctly, and there were some American soldiers that were, I think one of them was injured, and they were trying to find shelter for the night because it was really cold and really snowy. The mother let the soldiers in. A while later, there was another knock on the door. And basically, the son, if I remember correctly, he answered the door. Here, fuck it. Let's take a quick look for it, shall we? Let's take a quick look. Let's see. Nazi officers, Boris, Christmas meal, unsolved mysteries. I think this could be it. Oh, yeah, no, that's. Hold on. Fandom. Oh, maybe this is it. The Friends of Fritz Vinkin? Hold on, let me see here. Story was remarkable tales. Just let's see here. I'm just seeing if Christmas evening, era of sadness and certainly. Oh yeah, this is it because I remember the father did not return. But basically, let's see here. Discovered 3 American soldiers outside. They try to talk to Elizabeth, but she and Fritz did not speak English. And then it goes on to talk. Let's see here. Hiding from Germans. And then there was another knock at the door. Fritz and Elizabeth thought it must be more Americans. Fritz went to open the door, and to their surprise, 4 German soldiers were outside. This is the case I was thinking about. And basically, even though these were enemies, the mother kind of forced them to have like an uneasy truce And, it ended up helping this child, I'm not sure why it really made me think of this case, but yeah. So let's go back to here. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of just now. Carl thought that they would not see Philip after that night, but he did come back. He became a real life Santa Claus to the refugees, giving the children candy and their parents food, clothing, and other necessities that helped their families endure the many hardships of life without a homeland. Over the next 5 months, deep in the a deep and caring friendship grew between Philip and the Dentis. But one day, it came to an end. He arrived and told them that and his troop were being transferred to France and would soon return to the United States. He was very sorry he had to leave. He then gave them his photograph and address, hoping that they would find him again. When he left, Carl felt like they were losing a member of their family. It took 11 years of struggle and hardship for the Dentis to finally make their way to the United States. Sadly, Teresia passed away in 1959. A few years after they arrived, Carl and Brigitte currently live in Michigan. He runs a hotel in Sheboygan. Unfortunately, during their flight across Europe, they lost most of their possessions, including Philip's address. That sucks. Because I'd make you a bet that they figured that as soon as they got to the United States, they would look up his address. But since they lost it, that would have to be like a real gut punch. All they have to remember him by is his photograph, and then we saw the photograph. Based on the appearance of Philip's uniform, military experts believe that he was a private. He also told the Dentis he was from Maine. These may be important clues as to his whereabouts. For years, Carl has placed advertisements in newspapers in order to try and find him, but they have been unsuccessful. Carl and Brigitte hope to find and reunite with him. They have not forgotten his generosity and want to give him the thanks he so richly deserves. Extra notes. This case first aired on the December 21st, 1988 episode. It was updated on the February 1st, 1989 episode. Solved. Within an hour of the broadcast, Polly Tofty of Augusta, Maine called the telecenter to say that Philip is her cousin. 63-year-old Philippe, I think they pronounce it Philip Pelletier. He is a retired postal worker and lives in Hammond, Indiana. Arrangements were soon made for a reunion between him and the Dentis. Yeah, can you imagine what Philippe or Philip, how you want to pronounce his name? Can you imagine what he must be thinking? He probably thought that maybe the Dentis may have just kind of forgot him over time. So he probably moved on thinking that hopefully that they were able to have a happy life, and then years, decades later, he is told that the Dentis are actually looking for him. If I was in Carl's place, I'd be honored. I'd be honored and kind of shocked, Okay, let's see here. On Wednesday, December 28th, 1988, 1 week after the broadcast, Carl and Brigitte's 36-year search for Philip came to an emotional end when they were reunited with him and his wife Lucille at his home. He had thought of them often and was excited to see them after all that time. Carl was overjoyed to see him after so many years, especially since they were not sure if they would ever see him again. The minute Brigitte saw him, she could see the warmth and the happy look on his face and felt as if they had never lost touch. Carl, Brigitte, and Philip spent the afternoon looking through photographs that brought back memories of that special time they spent together. They planned to stay in touch and visit each other as much as possible. They renewed the friendship that they had before. As Carl put it, it was a friendship, a friendship forever. In 1990, Carl wrote a book about his experience of World War II and immigrating to the United States. Sadly, in 2000, he passed away at the age of 82. On November 17th, 2001, Philip passed away at the age of 76. On December 11th, 2004, Brigitte passed away at the age of 65. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. It's a little bit of a heart punch, you know. They spent all this time trying to find Philip. They did find Philip, and I'm glad that they did. It seems like after they found him, they just didn't have that much more time, you know. That's kind of sad because first Teresia passed away in 1959, and then in 2000, sadly Carl, passed away at the age of 82. So if he made it to 2005 or 25. God, I'm not good with math. I'm trying to do the math up in my head. 82, 92, 102. He would be about 107 years old, possibly. And then on November 17th, Philip passed away at the age of 76, and then sadly, shortly after Philip passed away, Brigitte passed away at the age of 65. I'm glad. I'm glad that they met him. I just honestly wish that, considering everything that both groups were put through, because of the war, I was just hoping that they would have had longer, to really, reconnect and talk, visit and everything. But, sometimes we do not get ultimately what we want. Okay, so I was able to preload up the Find a Grave locations websites, and there were 3 Find a Grave websites. If you do not know, this is the portion of the show where I go to. If there's a Find a Grave, we will go to the Find a Grave and see what there is. Okay. Charles Carl Dentai. Date of birth was October 10th, 1918. He was born in Budapest, Hungary. Date of death was September 3rd, 2000, at the age of 81. He was buried at Oakhurst Cemetery in Whitehall, Muskegon County, Michigan, USA. And then it has the memorial ID. And we got some pictures here. So we have the picture from the Unsolved Mysteries wiki. Here's the marker. It says basically, in memory of our father, Charles Carl Dentai, 1918 to 2000. It's kind of sad if you really think of it. I think I was roughly 19 when he passed away. And here I am. I think I turned 43. Oh my God. It kind of, sometimes I feel like we just don't realize how much time has passed. We don't acknowledge the passage of time. And then here's the same pictures, just I think this could have been like at a later part of the year. Okay, family members, for some reason they only have Brigitte Dentai Larmy here. I'm wondering why they don't have Teresia here. That's weird. Okay. So that was that one. Now we have Brigitte Dentai Larmy. Date of birth was December 4th, 1939 in Budapest, Hungary. Date of death was December 11th, 2004, age 65 in Whitehall, Muskegon County, Michigan, USA. Oddly, this is what kind of confused me. She was cremated. I thought for sure she would have been buried like near her father at least. But for some reason she was cremated. But then again, maybe it was her husband's wish. I don't know. Okay, let's take a look at the picture. We only have one picture. It's of Brigitte Larmy. Uh and then it gives basically her, her obituary. And basically, she was the daughter of Carl Dentai and Therese Laviska. I butchered her name. I apologize. And she was a mother to Mark and Todd. And then basically, it just says her parents are Charles Carl Dentai. I'm wondering why they don't have her mother named here. Okay, and then finally we have the man of the hour, Private Philip Alphonse Pelletier. He was a veteran. Date of birth was October 31st, 1925, in Lewiston and Androscoggin County, Maine. His date of death was November 17th, 2001. He was 76 years old. Location was Hammond Lake County, Indiana. He was buried at the Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. Oh my God. In Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, USA. His plot is located at Section 15, Block 6, Lot 430. And here, let's do this. Here's his picture of him in his uniform. You got a couple pictures here. His marker, along with his wife, it looks like. And then you have a plaque here dedicated to the memory of the World War II veterans. And then here you have a zoomed out picture of it. Okay, we actually have, a few people here to mention. Okay, so Philip's parents were Joseph Louis Pelletier, 1898 to 1957. Aurora Rose Alba Landry Pelletier, 1900 to 1968. His spouse was Lucille Yvonne Gagnon Pelletier, 1927 to 2011. And then he had a lot of siblings, it looks like. Cicely, I think that's our Cicely Marie Jean Pelletier Hagopian, 1918 to 1996. Rita Alphonsine Pelletier Gregor, 1919 to 1999. Lucien Lionel Pelletier, 1920 to 1956. Donat Armand Pelletier, 1921 to 1998. Christiane Alice Pelletier Valix, 1922 to 2011. Fernand Jean Baptiste Pelletier, 1923 to 1995. and Gerard Leo Pelletier, 1930 to 1994. He had one child that looks like Joseph Philip Pelletier, 1950 to 1978. It's kind of stark that only two people made it into the new millennium. Christiane Elise Pelletier Valix, he passed away in 2011, as did Lucille. And of course, uh, Philippe passed away in 2001. It's sad, It's sad because he probably has grandchildren. I hope that he has grandchildren, but it literally looks like his entire family has kind of passed away. And I feel bad about that. I feel bad about that. But then again, I guess sometimes not everything. Lasts forever. Okay, so that was the case of Philip Pelletier. Stay tuned, and when I return, it will be with my final thoughts. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Ham and cheese.
Pizza, please.
Barbecue, it's for you.
The tasty hot meal without a big deal.
If you have made it to this portion of the show, I want to say thank you very much. It means a lot to me. I have often asked, why do I cover cases that have already been solved? And the answer is quite simple. It is because I like to keep the memory going, basically. Like there was an episode or a case from Unsolved Mysteries. I think it dealt with the curse of the mummy. And they said to say the name of the dead is to make them live again. And I feel that to be pretty apt for a lot of these cases. I don't like to encourage people to remember criminals, for example. Criminals do not deserve to be remembered. At least, my opinion, they do not. However, when you have a case like this, where it was people trying to find a loved one, for example, I don't see why we cannot remember them. This family, the Dentais, went through a lot to try to find their friend. And I think, honestly, that is a good reason to constantly, remember these people. Yeah. We should remember the good above the bad, basically, yeah. But that's why I do it. It's just to kind of pay tribute and honor to these people who are no longer alive. All the main players in this story: Carl Dentai, Brigitte Laramie, Teresa Dentai, Philip Pelletier. They're all gone. They've been gone for almost for some of them they've been gone for nearly 25 years. In the case of Teresa, she was actually gone significantly longer. It's been almost a quarter of a century that some of these people have been gone. And I feel that it kind of does them honor to remember who they are and what their struggles were. But that's why I do it. I like to keep the memory alive, honestly. But that is it for this case. This case of Unsolved Mysteries, I guess you could really say. Hold on one second. I forgot to pull up an image. Jeff, you forgot to pull up an image. How could you forget to do that? And I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize. Up next, for the next installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries, I will be reading the case of Matthew Chase. Sadly, the Matthew Chase case has a sad ending. Matthew Chase was murdered, and we're gonna find out more about his murder in the next installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed this video. As always, if you like what you watch, please click that subscribe button, click the like. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to click that follow button, and you will be alerted when I release upcoming installments on both platforms. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day. Make sure you give that special somebody a hug, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll never know what can happen in the next minute. Peace out.
We're letting go, we got a real twist. We got the juice and we can't miss. We got the juice, nothing's gonna stop us. We got the taste, no one else can top us. We got the juice.
In every slice you choose.